Hello my friends, today we're learning Basra Daf Kuf Mem Vov. We're going to start from the Mishnah at the top of the page. It says the Mishnah, Sholech Sovlonot Lebet Chamiv. Shalach Sham Mea Maneh ve'achal Sham Seudat Chatan afilu bedinar אינם נגבים. לא אכל שם סעודת חתן, הרי אלו נגבים. שלח סבלונות מרובים שיחזרו עמו לבית בעלה, הרי אלו נגבים. סבלונות מועטים שתשתמש בהן בבית אביה אינם נגבים. So this Mishnah is talking about the present that the husband sends after he's me'aris his wife before the wedding. So the Mishnah says if someone sends presents and he doesn't specifically say what they are for, the Rashbam explains, and we're talking about that it's foods, like we're going to see in the Gemara, and he sent even a big amount of 100 money. One money is 100 tuz, so 100 money, 10 money is 1,000 tuz, 100 money is 10,000 tuz, an astronomical amount of value of food. And then he went to eat with his family of his wife, even a small meal, and he only ate one dinner. He can't, and now they get divorced, the woman doesn't want to get married, whatever. Once he enjoyed from this food, he can't ask for it back. But the Mishnah says if he never ate dinner, the Mishnah says if he never ate a Sudas Chosen, so he could ask for it back if they get divorced before they get married. And then the Mishnah says another two cases. One case is that if he sent presents, a big amount of presents, on condition type of thing that it should be for his, when they get married, that she should bring it. He sent her sheets and houseware that when they get married, she should have what to bring for the house. So that if they get divorced or something before they get married, if they get divorced before they get married after the engagement, he gets it back. But if he sent a small amount of presents for her to use in her father's house and they get divorced or die or whatever, she doesn't need to give that back. So there's four cases. The first case is that has two types of ways. If he sent a present and he got it and he ate a meal, he doesn't get those presents back. If he didn't eat a meal, he does get it back. And then in the two cases of the Mishnah, if it's with condition for the marriage, he gets it back. If it's conditioned for her house, that she's using her father's house, he doesn't get it back. Says the Gemara, Amar Rava, דווקא דינר אבל פחות מדינר לא. פשיטא דינר תנן. מה עוד יותר מהו הדין אפילו פחות מדינר? ואי דקטני דינר אוחה דמיצי קטני כמה שמנן. אכל תנן שתה מים. הוא תנן שלוחו מים. שם תנן שיגר לו מים. תשמע דאמר רב יהודה אמר שמואל מעשה באדם אחד ששיגר לבית חמיב 100 קרונות של כדי יין ושל כדי שמן ושל כלי כסף ושל כלי זהב ושל כלי מילת ברכה ושמחתו והלך ועמד על פתח בית חמיב. והוציאו כוס של חמין ושתה ומת, וזו הלכה אלי רב אחי שר הבירה לפני חכמים לאושה. ואמרו סבלונות העשויים לבלות אין נגבים, שאין עשויים לבלות נגבים. שמע מינה אפילו שתה שמת מינה. שמת מינה אפילו פחות מדינר. אמרה שמר למנן דלא שחקי למרגניתא דשא ואלף זוזי ואשקי. שמת מינה אפילו שגרו לו, דלמה כל פתח בית חמיב כבית חמיב דמי. So said Rava that that's what we said in the Mishnah, that the Chosen ate, he doesn't get back the food that he sent. That's only if he ate for the value of a dinner. On that the Gemara asks, but less than a dinner, no. He gets back the money. On that the Gemara asks, obviously in the Mishnah it says clearly a dinner. Why is Rava, the Amura, being the Chadesh on the Tana? So the Gemara, you might have thought that the Mishnah, when it says a dinner, it doesn't mean specifically a dinner, even less than a dinner. And the reason why it's in the Mishnah, because it's coming to tell you, normally a person eats, like we said earlier on, a normally person eats the value of a dinner, but really even less than a dinner, the same din will apply. That not, it specifically needs to have enough of a meal that's considered a chosh of a meal that's worth a dinner, then he doesn't get back all the food he sent. But if he did eat less than that, he does get back the food. Now the Gemara asks a few shaylas. It says in the Mishnah that the chosen ate food. What's the din? If he only drank, he didn't eat, is that considered like eating? That he doesn't get back, if they get divorced, he doesn't get it back or not? Second question is, it says that he himself ate. What's the din if his messenger, the one who he sent to the family of the bride, ate and not him? Is that considered like he ate or not? Then the Gemara asks another shayla. It says that he ate over there in the house of his new wife, he ate food. What's the din if he ate not in the house, knowing that they sent him food, he sent them food, and then they sent him back part of that food, and he ate that, or they sent him other food, and he ate that. Is that considered good enough that he can't claim back the rest of the food? Or no, the whole Chiddush of the Mishnah is dafka if he ate in their house and he celebrated together in their house, then he doesn't get back the food. It says in Mark Gemara, let me just check the Shabbos cooking. Sorry about that, the cooking was a bit overflowing. So we have three shilas over here. Is it dafka they eating, not drinking? Question number one. Is it dafka him eating and not his messenger? Is it dafka if he eats by the Kala's house, or also if he eats in his own house? Says the Gemara, Toshma, come and listen. The Rav Yudah in the name of Shmuel says about a story that there was one person who sent his father-in-law's house 100 carriages of barrels of wine and barrels of oil and vessels made out of silver, vessels made out of gold, and of clothes made out of silk. And he rode on his horse in his happiness to his father-in-law's house, all proud. And they took out, before he even got into the house, they took, while he's on the horse still, they took out a hot cup of tea or something, and he drank and he died. And this halacha, Rab Acha, Sarah Bira brought up in front of Chachomim to Usha, where one of the places where the Sanhedrin were after Yerushalayim, and they said, so it depends. If it's presents that have an expiry date like oil and wine, so you can't claim back. And if it doesn't have expiry date like the gold and the silver, so he could claim back, or his family could claim back as Yerushim. So says the Gemara, we could see from here that even drinking, because we said the whole din that he doesn't get back is only if he ate, and here it says he only drank, and I feel that he drank, we could see that he doesn't get back the food and the thing that have an expiry date. So l'chara, it's a very good raya. They don't need eating, drinking is good enough. Said the Gemara, let's bring a raya over here. They even less than a dinner. How much does a cup of tea cost already? It must cost less than a dinner. On the Rav Ashi, it says you don't have any raya. Who told you? Maybe they took an expensive stone, grinded it up, and they put it in the drink for him. And like today, you go to Dubai, they'll give you a coffee with gold in, etc., very expensive. So how do you know that they never did that? So there's no raya that was less than a dinner. And the third thing, Lechora said the Gemara, we have a raya here. He never drank in their house. He drank it when he was outside their house. So we have a raya that even if they sent the food to his house, it's good enough, and he can't claim anymore the rest of the sovloinos. On that, the Gemara says no, there's no raya. Our shaila was if they sent to his house. Here, he was on the entrance of their house. It was the entrance of his father-in-law's house. It's like going inside. That's not different that he was outside. But our shaila is, if they sent him food to his own house, then the shaila is, does he lose a sivloinus or not? So we don't have a raya to two of our shailas, but we did have a raya to the shaila if drink is like food, and the answer is, yeah, drink is like food. Continues the Gemara inside. Iba lehu mao sheisha leshvach sivlonot. Mao. Kevan di itnu lidide adri bershute shavuach. Or dilma kevan di avdi, or migne v'bo shlumele bershute dida shabuch teiku. So Gemara asks the shaila, what then? The husband sent presents. He sent a cow, a donkey, sheep to his wife's house, and then they're getting divorced before they get married, and he's getting back to the sivloides. And this time, meanwhile, between the engagement and when he's getting it back, these animals had babies. Who does it go to? He went up in value. Who does it go to? So what is shaila? Do we say because they need to return it to him, it belongs to him, so therefore the babies also belong to him? Or maybe since if they got stolen or lost from the wife's house, she would have to pay it. It's on her responsibility. So we look at it as if she's the one who's in charge, and it's in her possession, in the wife's possession all the time that it's by her, and therefore if I had babies, it's her gain. Said the Gemara, Teiku Tishbi Yitaret Kushus Boys. We really hope Eliyahu Novi is already here and is going to answer this shaila to us. Continues the Gemara inside. באי רבא סבלונות העשויים לבלות ולא באו מהו תשמע וזו הלכה אלי רב אחא שר הבירה לפני חכמים באושה ואמר אמרו סבלונות העשויים לבלות אין נגבים מי שאין עשויים לבלות נגבים מה אליו אף על גב זה לא בלו תשמע סבלונות מועטים שתשתמש בהם והיא בבית אביה אין נגבים תגמר רבא פייסה וסב חטא אמר רב יהודה אמר רב מעשה באדם אחד ששיגר לבית חמיו יין חדש ושמן חדש וקליפה שתן חדש בעצרת מה כמשמע לן? היא בהתאם החשיבות עד ארץ ישראל כמשמע לן והיא בהתאם דאיתא אין טענת איתנא אמר רב יהודה אמר רב, מעשה באדם אחד שאמרו לו, אשתו תותרניתי, ונכנס אחריה לחורבה, לבודקה. אמר לה, ריח צרון אני מריח בכלים. קמ"ו עמוד ב', אמרה לי, מן יאיב לן מכותבת דיריחו ואכל נבי. נפל על החורבה ומת, אמרו חכמים, אוי ולא נכנס אחריה אלא לבודקה, מתה אינה יורשה. So after we read the Gemara inside, we're going to explain it outside. So Rava asked the Shaila, what's the din? We said that if you send to your wife presents that have an expiry date, and those presents that have an expiry date, and the husband ate a meal by the Kala's house, they don't need to give it back. So the Shaila is that especially if we used up these products, or even if they're still existing. So the Gemara, bring you a Aryeh from what we learned before about the halacha the Rav Achas Aryeh brought to Chachamim and Ushan. What did they say? They said if it has an expiry date, asuni balois, you can't claim them back, and if there's no expiry date, you can claim it back. So the Gemara is assuming that if it says something with an expiry date, we don't care if it's still here or not. All we care if it has an expiry date. And if it's, let's say, wine that has an expiry date, so it's even if it's still existing, the wife does not have to give it back to the husband. Well, nothing more says no. Maybe it means that it has an expiry date and he actually used it. But if it's still be'en, if it's still existing, you do need to give back. You can't bring me a raya from here because it doesn't say clearly what's the din if it's still existing. All it says that depends if it has an expiry date or not. But it doesn't say if it's still existing, maybe the din will be different. Said the Gemara, come and listen. From our mission, it says that if you send small presents that you should use in a house, you don't have to give it back. And it's mashma, even if it's ben, it's not mashma only if she used it. It's mashma, whatever happens, it doesn't need to give it back. So we could see that the din of expiry date, it depends on the expiry date. It doesn't depend if it's still here or not. If you have the expiry date, even if it's still existing, these products, you don't need to give it back. Well, now Rava explains that the mission is talking about baive v'savachta, that's type of small presents that he, like scarves, and knots of women that are very cheap, so that he doesn't care, even if it's existing, he doesn't want back. We are talking about when a guy sent, like the story before, 100 carriages of wine and oil, then we're discussing. Continues the Gemara doesn't answer the Shaila. The Gemara says that Rav Yehuda said in the name of Rav a story. There was once a person that he sent his father-in-law's house new wine from this year, new oil from this year, and flax clothes, kelim made out of flax, new ones. When did he all send this? All this was in Shavuos time, on that teres. Says the Gemara, what's the story coming to tell us? Was Rav Yehuda in the name of Rav a storyteller? He wants to say a good night story. He must be coming to tell us a aloha, a din or something. So says the Gemara, two explanations. Explanation number one, it's coming to tell you that the chashivas of Eretz Yisrael, how good Eretz Yisrael is and what type of good fruit grow in Eretz Yisrael. And if someone who deals in agriculture in Eretz Yisrael knows that nature, when do the grapes are ready? The grapes are only ready Rosh Hashanah time. And when are the olives ready? Only after Sukkot, when the first rain comes. A flax, I don't know, I've never dealt with flax. But much later in the year, not Shavuos time. So we come in to say in this story, look how great Eretz Yisrael is, that sometimes the fruit can get ripe so quickly and get ready already by Shavuos, and already Shavuos you could have wine from the new year. Second teretz is that in a case where someone comes and says, I sent to my father-in-law new wine, and new oil, and new flax, and it was Shavuos time, don't tell him you're a liar because it doesn't make sense to have the produce ready so quick. No, look at the story of Rav Yehuda in the name of Rav, that such a thing happened, and therefore you won't assume that the guy is a liar. Said the Gemara, another story about Rav Yehuda in the name of Rav, and we're bringing it up because it's similar to what we said before, a story that there was one man that he told him, your wife could not smell, she's a tut ronis. In Hebrew you say tatran, someone who can't smell. And they told him she can't smell, and it's a mumim, it's a fault in a woman that you can't see, and therefore it's a mekachtos, and he could divorce her if he wants and not pay a ksuba, if I'm not mistaken. So he decided he's gonna go and check out. He went out. They went on a walk, and they went into a churba, his old house that no one's living in it, and he had, the Rashbam explained, he had in his pocket horseradish that has a strong smell. And he told her, I'm smelling horseradish over here in the Golil. The story was in the Golil. The Golil is in the north of Israel. Kufmer Vavam and Beis. She told him as a joke, as if, the way I understand it, she said, oh yeah, I could smell that. I wish we would have some dates from Yericho, the top dates, like it says Yericho Yirat Morim. Until today, when you're going around Yericho on the roads over there, you can see tons and tons of amazing Maj'ul dates. You can't find such good dates in the whole world. Anyway, she said, in those days when you'd eat something bitter like horseradish, you'd want to have something sweet with it. So she answered back, oh, he's trying to, he's testing her. He said, yeah, I wish we'd have some dates from Yericho to eat with it. Meanwhile, the churba fell down and killed her. So the husband wanted to get Yerusha. We married, I want to get Yerusha. Chacham said, no. Since the whole reason why he went after her into the churba was only to test her, and he wasn't really sure. He had a tzad to divorce her because it's a mum that she has. So therefore he wasn't in a proper good marriage, and we know the din is if someone's planning to divorce his wife and then she dies before he manages to do that, he doesn't get to Yerusha, therefore he should not get this woman's Yerusha. Continue the Gemara inside. So יפיד רב נמצא בקמד רב פאפה ויתי וכמה בן שמת האי בן שמת הוא הדר הוא סבלונות הדר מאכל ומשתה לא הדר הדרה בה יהיו הדרה בהי הדרה בן שמת האי בן שמת הוא הדר הוא סבלונות הדר מאכל ומשתה לא הדר הדרה בהי הדרה אפילו קישה דיארקה אמר רבון הברידי יבשור שם מנהל דמי בשר בזול Ad kama v'zol, ad tilze. So the Gemara tells us, going on the last part of the mission, that if he sends small presents to use in the father's house, she doesn't need to return it. So the Gemara, the old rabbin, sat in front of her papa and he was sitting and he was saying, doesn't matter if she died, doesn't matter if he died, it goes back. The dinim in the mission, when you have to return it, the food or the gold or whatever it is, it doesn't matter if she died, doesn't matter if he died. Now, it depends. If Rabbi Saba sat in front of Papa and he said, doesn't matter if she died, doesn't matter if he died. So the din applies. If they were still alive and he cancelled this marriage, so the presents she needs to give back. But the food and the drink that he sent, you don't give that back. But if she didn't want to continue this marriage and cancel this whole engagement, so then even the drink that's made out of vegetable, a very cheap drink, you need to return. And that Rav Huna, the son of Rav Yeshua, says that when you return the food that the woman got, you don't estimate in market value, you estimate it like cheap meat. And says it more how cheap, how do you estimate it? Says it more until a third. That means if it's worth 90, she only has to pay 60. A third less than the market price, and that's also a klal in all the shas. Whenever we say mod basa bazoil, it means 2/3 of the value. Says the Mishnah, שכיב מרע שכתב כל נכסיו לאחרים ושיער קרקע כלשהו מתנותו קיימת. לא שיער קרקע כלשהו אין מתנותו קיימת. So the Mishnah says, two cases. One case is that someone was going to die and he gave all his possessions to someone else and he left for himself a land, even a small land, and then he gets better. Do we say, oh, he only gave it as a present because he was going to die? No, because he left himself a small piece of land, it means he wasn't sure he's going to die and therefore he left himself his land to make sure that he has something. So therefore the present continues. But if he gave all his possessions and he never left himself anything, and then he got up and he was healthy, so the present he gave on his deathbed, he gets it back because the only reason why he gave it, we have an umdana, as we're going to see in the Gemara, that the only reason he gave it was because he knew that he's going to die, but now he found out that he's not dying. He wants all his possessions back. Says the Gemara, Man tana da'azlinan basar umdana, Amar Rab Nachman Rab Shimon b'Menashe Yahi. ותניא הרי שהלך בנו למדינת הים ושמע שמת בנו ועמד וכתב כל נכסיו לאחר ואחר כך בא בנו מתנותו מתנה. רב שמעון בן מנסיה אומר אין מתנותו מתנה, שאלמלא היה יודע שבנו קיים לא היה כותבה. רב ששת אמר רב שמעון שזורי, דתניא בראשונה היו אומרים היוצא בקולר ואמרו כתבו גט לאשתי הרי יכתבו ויתנו, חזרו לומר אף המפרש ויוצא בשיירה רב שמעון שזורי אומר, אף המסוכן. רב נחמן מהייתיים הלא מוקים לה כרב שמעון שזורי, שהענייתם דאמר כתבו, ורב ששת מהייתיים הלא מוקים לה כרב שמעון אסיה, עומדנה דמוכח שאני. מה נתנה לעד אתנו רבנן, הרי שהיה חולה ומוטל במיטה, ואמרו לו נכסך למאי, ואמר להם דומה שיש לי בן עכשיו, שאין לי בן, דומה שיש לי בן עכשיו, שאין לי בן נכסי לפלוני, היה חולה ומוטל במיטה, ואמרו לו נכסיו למי? אמר להם דומה שאשתי מעוברת. עכשיו שאין אשתי מעוברת נכסי לפלוני, ונודע שיש לו בן, או שהייתה אשתו מעוברת, אין מתנתו מתנה. ואמר רב שמעון אסיה ולא רבנן, אפילו תאמר רבנן דומה שייני. ודקרי לה, מה יקרי לה? מה עוד תמה צערי הוא דו מקומית כמשמע לה? So says the Gemara, after we read the Gemara until Daf Kuf Mem Zayin Amud Aleph, we can explain it outside. The following. The Gemara says, who is the Tana of the Mishnah who holds they go after Umdina? If he left a piece of land, he meant it was a full matana, even if he gets better. If he didn't leave any land, it means there's only on condition that he dies. So it says Rav Nachman, the Mishnah is Rab Shimon ben Menasya. That we see that Rab Shimon ben Menasya said in the Brisa, someone who his son went to a faraway country, to New Zealand, let's say, and he heard that his son died, and he went and he stood and he wrote down all his possessions to someone else. One day, in the middle of the afternoon, his son turns up back from New Zealand. So Tanakama says his matana, he gave a present, he never said any conditions, it stands. Rab Shimon ben Asya says no, his matana is no matana, and the reason why, because if he would know that his son's still alive, he would never give it away. And therefore we could see that Rab Shimon ben Asya says that you go after Umdina. So our Mishnah that says, by Yasim Boba Basra, that you go after Umdina, it must be Rab Shimon ben Asya, so says Rab Nachman. Rav Shesha says no, our Mishnah is Rab Shimon Shazuri, as we learned in the Brisa, that at the beginning they used to say, someone who was going to get killed by the king, and he told people, Adam, write to get to my wife, and he never said write to get and give it to my wife, he only said write to get. So even so, because we assume that he's going to die and he really meant to give it, the reason why he never said it because he was a bit under stress. So the thing is, these people who are told this thing, they should write down and give the get. Afterwards, says in the Brisa, they added extra cases that you could say that. Even someone who goes on a ship ride into the ocean, and someone who goes in a camel or donkey, a shayara, a coach into the desert or into a dangerous place, even though they never said to give the get, only to write it, we write it and give it. Comes up Shimon Shazuri and he says he adds an extra case, even someone who's mesukim, someone who we know is going to die in the next year or so. So, since Rav Shimon Shazuri assumes that even someone who's mesukim, even though he only said kusbu, we write it and we give it, so we can see he goes after Umdina, therefore our Mishnah by us is Rav Shimon Shazuri. Says the Gemara, so we have two, Rav Nachman saying it's Rav Shimon ben Asya, and Rab Zera, and Rav Shesha is saying it's Rav Shimon Shazuri. Why did each one not like the other one's pshat? Says the Gemara, Rav Nachman didn't want to say that's Rav Shimon Shazuri because over there it's different. It's not like he never said to anything. He said write down a get. He never said to give it, but he said the basics, so therefore it's less of a umdina to say to go give the get. But by us it's more of a umdina. He never said any conditions in this present, and then we say, oh, depends if he left the land or not. So l'chora fits in better with Rav Shimon ben Asya. So the Gemara, why did Rav Sheshes not want to say that our Mishnah is Rav Shimon ben Asya? And that's what the Gemara says, that over there, it's muchach, it's obvious that he heard his son died in New Zealand, and then he wrote this present to other people. It's obvious that he gave this other people the present because he heard his son died. If he'd never hear his son died, if he'd know that he was still alive, he'd never give a present. So it's not a raya to our case where a person wrote a present to someone else and left himself some land. And therefore we have to say our Mishnah Rav Shimon Shazuri. Said the Gemara, it said in the Brisa, someone who was sick and who was lying in bed, and they told the person, who should we give all your possessions to? See, he said, Kufrim Zayin Amud Aleph, I used to think I had a son, now that I realize I don't have a son, I want my possessions to go to Ploini, to Reuven. Or similar case, he was sick in bed, and they asked him, who should your possessions go to? And he said, oi, I thought my wife was pregnant, but now that I found out that my wife is not pregnant, I want Reuven Ploini to get my nechosim. And then we found out that really he does have a son, or really his wife is still pregnant and she never lost a baby. So his matana to that Ploini, to the Reuven is nochal. Who is this Brisa, says the Gemara? Says the Gemara, it must be Rab Shimon ben Asya, who said before that when a person's son went away and you heard they died, it's the same case. And it doesn't fit in, nor like Rabbanon, because Rabbanon argue on Rav Shimon Menashe over there. Said no, really it can fit in like Rabbanon. Over here it's different, because while he was giving the present, he said, oh, I thought I had a kid, now that I don't have a kid. So we can see the reason why he's giving it is because he doesn't have a kid. So even Rabbanon in this case agree that the Matana is no chal. Said the Gemara, and the one who tried to say that this price is only of Shimon ben Menashe, what was he thinking? Did he not realize the difference of a person who just gives a present after he heard that his son died, but he never mentions it, a person who's mentioning it while he's giving the present, oh, I thought I have a son, but now that I don't, okay, here I'm giving the present. It's a very fundamental difference. Said the Gemara, no. You might have thought that he's just mentioning, he's just crying, he's saying, oh yeah, I don't have a son to give it to, so sad, I want to give it to you. But it's not that he's saying on condition that I don't have a son, and therefore Chachamim wanted me to have Shimon ben Menashe. That's what the Makshe thought. And then the Gemara says, no, even Rabbanan agree in such a case. Thank you very much. I'd like to say a quick Dvar Torah on this week's Parsha. This week's Parsha is Parshas Ve'era. It says about someone, Avraham Avinu, Hashem tells him, go shecht your only son Yitzchok, the one who will continue you as your zera. Ishmael is like a chamor, is like a donkey, is not considered yuchsim. Don't have any hopes on him. Go shecht him. Avraham goes to Aryeh Maria, he puts him on the mizbeach. Hashem comes, the Malach comes and tells him, don't shecht him. Here's the Aryeh. As we know the story of Akedas Yitzchok, one of the biggest chusim of Klal Yisrael till today from the Avos HaKadoshim. We can see here an interesting thing. The Zohar says that when he put the knife on Yitzchok's throat, actually Yitzchok passed away. And then he had Chiyas HaMeisim. Says the Zohar, a tremendous chiddush, that the knife killed him, and when he was alive in his first round of Yitzchok, he had a nefesh of a female. And when he was reborn, he got a nefesh of a male, a masculine nefesh. Meaning that only because of the Akedah, he was able to actually have kids, to get married to Rivka and to have Yaakov and Esau. And we can see from here a tremendous thing. When we get sorrows, when bad things happen, Hashem tells Avraham, go kill your only child. So it looks terrible thing, his whole continuation is going to die off. But when we look in the whole picture from on top, when we look 3,500 years later, we know the whole story, we have the Zohar, we understand that really by that story of the Akedah, only that, through that Avraham had a continuation. Otherwise, Yitzchok with his nefesh of an Akeva could not have children, and Avraham has no continuation. So on the contrary, not only that he wasn't going to lose his son, he actually had a continuation of Am Yisrael just because of the Akedah, because he became a Zuchra, and he became a male who could have kids, and then he went and married Rivka. So there's three types of people in life. There's a person that's the lowest level, that something bad happens to him, and he's very sad. And from that bad thing, something good happens to him, and he doesn't even notice that really it was a good thing that happened, because look how much good came out of it, and he doesn't appreciate it. That's the lowest level. The middle level is someone who says, something bad happens to him, he's very upset, but then a year later he sees, oh, good happened, and he says, wow, Baruch Hashem, the bad thing happened to me. And he realizes that even the bad things are for the good. And the highest darga, and that's the darga that we achieve to get to, is someone that even when he's in his sorrows, when the bad things are happening to him, like Avraham is going with Yitzchok to Shechten, even then he realizes, without understanding why, that anything that bad happens is really for the better. And we should all be zeicha to get to that darga. Thank you very much. We should all have a great, great Shabbos.